peculiars. I promised online that I was going to wear something from 1910, and I don't actually have anything from 1910. I'm looking a bit 1920, I don't know, or maybe like a Monopoly character at this point. This is an actual cigarette holder. Did you have any idea these were this long? Seems kind of silly, doesn't it? But I am extremely happy tonight because we are going to be doing a book that I love. This is fabulous. I read it. I reviewed it for the Wall Street Journal, and I loved it there as well. And today, I know Dave is excited. I'm excited. Other people are excited. We even had a little welcome committee earlier.
Yes, we did.
Good.
And look, we're so fresh and lively an hour earlier. And,
hey,
you know, if you're tuning in and you're like, wait a minute, why isn't it live? Yes, we're an hour earlier tonight for our friends across the pond. Yes.
So it's 6:00 in the Eastern time. We have a lot of people who have popped in tonight. We've got Leanne who's here. She says she's very curious about who is buried under the cellar floor. Also reminding people to go to the live chat. If you are accidentally in our green room and you shouldn't be, make sure that you log out and then come in through the regular YouTube app. Elizabeth Witten is here. A lot of people have remembered. They've remembered, got the cocktail ready. This cocktail is amazing. Mm-hmm. And so you can also please, we've got Randy's here from Indiana. A couple of people from Cleveland. Woo, woo. And I also want to remind all of you that you can type your questions in early, because when your questions come in early, then we just mark them, or Davey usually does, and then we try to make sure that we get through all of them. Yes, please do, Judy, read the Wall Street Journal review. It took me a long time to write this one because it's a big book and it says a lot of things, and it was very exciting. So without more of my jawing, let us invite to the stage Hallie.
Hi.
Huzzah!
Huzzah!
This is fun.
Nice to be here.
It's so good to have you here. Some people are saying since it's early, they're going to be multitasking, but it's okay. They're all ready to be part of the show. We didn't want to miss anybody. Davey, are you starring questions? I see they're popping into the chat over there.
Let's get them.
Fabulous.
There's a lot of fun things to talk about with this.
There's going to be a lot of fun things to talk about. There are. We also, don't forget, we also have a cocktail that is done for each book, and our cocktail maven Kat does these, and she's come up with a specific one for this one, and I think you're going to love it. We all voted on names, and there's an overwhelming support for one of the names, like many votes for this name. So I think you'll be really excited.
I'm going to guess. I have a name in my head. I'll see if I'm right.
All right. So we do that, and then we also have tonight Cord Ravenswood, our peculiar in the field, has written a song specifically about your book. So we'll be debuting that later, and of course all the other fun things. So I of course knew about your work before this book. So when it came across my desk, I do reviews for the Wall Street Journal.
Randy, before you get to your first question, I told Hallie before we started that they love talking about bookshelves and the books in the back.
Oh, that's right.
You're already getting comments, Hallie.
There we go. Books behind you.
The books behind me. Well, you can't see them because the spines are turned. Oh, that's okay, everybody. That is my to be read pile.
Okay.
Gives you a bit slow getting around to all of them, and occasionally my husband comes and sneaks one from the pile, and then I have to go and recover it from him because it ends up on his bookshelves. So
I feel your pain.
Yeah.
My kids do the same thing with their bedtime books, and they steal from each other. So
yeah,
it's a whole thing.
It's better to have more books than not enough. Yeah.
Wood filing cabinet also getting some nice commentary here. Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
You know what? We're like room raiders here. We're raiding the rooms. So I am going to start with a softball question, and then we're going to switch to announcements, and then we'll pick up the questions that people are typing into. There's a little bit of a delay typically, so as people are typing.
Sure.
But I got to know you through the 5, and this is very interesting because I had been working on and pitching a book, which didn't end up becoming a book, did become an article about the torso murders, the Tim's torso murders.
Yeah.
And I ended up not doing it, but I was reading your book with great interest as I was working on that, because there's some overlap between those two, and there's a murder in the middle that we're not really murder in the middle. That'd be an interesting game.
Oh, that's a good title.
Murder in the middle. They're not sure which of the killers it was. They're not sure if it was Jack the Ripper, if it was the Tim's torso murderer. So when this came across my desk, I was, of course, very enthusiastic about reading it. What is funny is how little time I actually got to read it. So it's a big book, and the deep dive that you do on the research and also just how much ground you cover, because it's on one hand, we have a lot more background of Hawley Crippen than I have ever seen before, but also a lot more background on Belle. When you put those two things together, it's really a lot of material. So I really enjoyed it, and I loved writing the review for it. But I always like to ask this question: what brought you to this topic specifically after the 5?
Well, I mean, it seems in many ways like almost the natural thing to do after the 5 for a number of reasons. And one is, I mean, I'll tell you about the book that actually made me aware of the whole Crippen case, which is a book by a man called, it's by Arthur Dew, called I Caught Crippen. Walter Dew, not Arthur Dew. Well, you can tell. First of all, I'm going to say, everybody, it is just after 11 o'clock at night for me. So if I am hazy, if I get brain fog, this is why I've had a full day. So, so Walter Dew wrote this book called I Caught Crippen, and in it, so he is the sort of link between the Jack the Ripper case and the Crippen case, because he had, started his career investigating. In part, he was part of the team that were investigating the Ripper's crimes. And then he also, his claim to fame is that, and I say this in quotes, he caught Crippen. He did catch Crippen, but there are other people involved as well, and that's partially what the book's about. And so when I was using his book for my research for the 5, and then I thought, well, who's this Crippen? Let me read this. And the story was just so amazing that I thought, my God, this story is ripe for re-examination, because so many times when you're looking at these historical true crime cases, I like to say that the prejudices, the attitudes at the time are like frozen in aspic.
Yeah.
They're fossilized. And so often when we repeat the story of a historic true crime, we're repeating all the prejudice, we're repeating the misogyny, we're repeating the racism, we're repeating all of these things without question. And what a historian does is they peel back all the layers and they try to find out, where is the origin of all of this information? And often you find that it was never true. And, and in fact, lots of other things happened. And so the process is fascinating. And you realize how much of historic true crime has become legend. And it deserves a real historical treatment. It deserves comparing it all the way back to the origins.
I think that is beautiful. And of course, I'm a historian too. And for me, it's, what is amazing to me is just how much information you almost always have to kind of wade through to choose the right kinds of details to go in. I mean, I'm sure you ended up with things on the cutting room floor, even with including so much stuff.
Yeah.
And that's always the challenge, isn't it? Because and we'll probably get this question later if it's not already in there, there's always a few favorites on that floor, and we'll ask you about that in just a little bit. But before we do that, let's get to our, what's the word? Announcements. Yes. Sorry. It has also been a long day for me. I am working on, I've got revisions that I'm doing, and the revisions have turned out into an actual rewrite, which is one of those things because, you know how like you want it to be a revision and then you find out you have to take it all apart and put it back together again. So I've been mentally juggling things all day too. So I apologize. My brain's also not super on. But anyway, announcements. We are everywhere. It's kind of shocking just how many places we are. You can get to us on almost all kinds of social medias. But I always encourage people, the two most important things, or three, I suppose. One is our YouTube channel, on which you are watching this right now. And that YouTube channel is, you can subscribe, you can like it, it's free. All of our shows are up there, both the upcoming ones and after this has been aired, it will also be up there. And our podcast is also, you subscribe, like it, add it to your feeds. That covers not only our shows here, but also some new release information. We do a mystery podcast, also Davy's film podcast. And number 3, our newsletter, which I think is the next slide. Maybe. Sometimes I get them out of order. It is. And you can join us for links. The nice thing for the newsletter is you don't have to go to social media, which is scary and awful sometimes now because like you can't get away from the news. But the newsletters always starts off with the Brandy musings, which is sometimes weird little stories, occasionally poems. I think I did a poem about Humboldt's squid not too long ago. Weird ideas that I've had. So it's fun. And then it covers the show. It covers the cocktail recipe and the ingredients therein and other fun details for that. And oh yes, membership. So we've finished our member drive proper, but you can always join as a VIP member. That is actually how we support the show because we keep all of our shows free. And it's for as little as $5 a month, and you get other stuff backstage with authors, cool swag. I don't know if you know this. We actually have Story of a Murder we have these cards that are like the size of tarot cards. Oh, there they are.
Oh,
yes.
wow.
And then on the back are interesting or peculiar facts about the book.
Oh,
and
I love that.
This goes out. Every book on our show goes out. There are still 3 en route to our so some of our VIPs because the post office for some reason returned them to me and I had to resend them. But that's a lot of fun and other cool swag that you can get, including digital downloads. So every month there's a new digital download for a phone screen, there's a word searches and things like that your book name was in and that your author name was in. So a lot of fun stuff for
great.
For membership. Next.
And you will also get to join for our VIP events, which is the first one coming up.
How I forgot to say that. The very first one coming up is movie night. So we are doing it's like Mystery Science Theater, but it's peculiar science theater. And we still have to pick a movie. So we need to put something up on Facebook to start voting.
Something tells me in March. You'll get a poll in March. You'll get something to vote on in March, and we'll pick the movie for the event in April.
Okay, yes. And we'll be doing all of the sort of commentary. So it should be a blast. Everyone gets to get their comments up there as we do the co-watching. It'll be fun. Oh, yes. The book cocktail. Look at this beautiful photograph. So Kat, not only does she make the drinks and come up with them, but she creates these amazing photographs. Kat is our drinks maven, and she's amazing.
Oh my God. I wish I would have made one of those tonight had I known.
It's in I did send it out. It's in the newsletter. And you do get the newsletters, but if you're not getting them, and this does occasionally happen, sometimes they go to people's spam folders. We don't know how to encourage them to stop doing that, but it does sometimes happen. But this drink, gin and rose syrup and Cointreau, and the name that won by a landslide was Coupe d'Elmore. So
Coupe d'Elmore. I knew it was going to be Belle Elmore somewhere. I knew that was. Yeah.
I think we also had Crippen's Elixir and something else was in there.
Crippen's Elixir is wonderful. I'm surprised that hyoscine hydrobromide is not an ingredient.
Yeah, that is.
just tiny, just a tiny. You don't want to use too much.
It's all gonna be okay. So
you could do one called the Ethel that would be particularly sour.
That would be, wouldn't? Yeah. Ooh, I hadn't even thought about that. But but it might not be drinkable.
I know.
Oh yes, Kathleen. Good Kathleen. That is Kat right there. Kat is our drinks maven.
I do love how in your book every problem could be solved by alcohol. Oh yeah. Just have a sip of brandy. I'm drinking. Yeah. We had too many whiskeys tonight. No switch to brandy. Just keep drinking whiskey.
Yeah, just keep drinking whiskeys. It would be bad if you switched. Just keep drinking. But I thought it was really interesting the drinks that they drank then as well. The drinks in 1910 were different.
They were. We're more familiar with the 1920s drinks.
Yeah.
The cocktails and after. Prohibition cocktails. I mean, we learned a lot from that.
Yeah.
Davey, did you go to the Bee's Knees cocktail event that I did? You didn't do that one.
No,
okay.
I don't think so. No.
I did a Prohibition and cocktails event when I still worked at the museum. Davey and I worked together when I was at Case, and I came as Elliot Ness and arrested the audience.
That's
a lot of fun. It was good fun. Anyway, this is the cocktail. It was amazing.
Yep. Our final announcement, Peculiar Movie Club. So we still, OUR January episode, which is The Faculty, because we needed a zombie parasite movie for January. Me and Darren actually might record it tonight. The plan is to record it tonight. So you might see it this weekend in your podcast feed. But Hallie, for your book, we always try to theme the movie around the books. And so I was trying to find a good like wife, lover, murder, mystery thing going on. So I went with A Perfect Murder. Michael Douglas, Gwyneth Paltrow, Viggo Mortensen. Nice. So we'll see how much the themes of this murder and crime and escapade align with, Crippen and Elmore and.
It made me think. Actually, Saturday is Valentine's Day, and this is a very, very dark Valentine's. It is, isn't it?
Yeah. But some people are into that. Some people like that. The dark Valentine's. Yeah. So we are the Peculiar Movie Club, so we gotta get a little peculiar with it. So
you do.
A Perfect Murder will be our February movie.
I love it. Ryan wants to know if you showed up with an axe.
I think that's the wrong female murderer.
I think he means the Elliot Ness thing.
That's a bit Lizzie Borden.
Oh, did I show up with an axe?
Yeah,
I did not.
I
did not. Sorry. I did not show up with an axe, though it would have been funny if I had. I did show up in a pinstripe suit and a fedora and all that kind of stuff. Elliot Ness is buried here in Cleveland, actually. Oh, My Bloody Valentine. Oh, and Kathleen mentions that the cocktail is quite Valentine's-y too. Also good for murder or Valentine's Day, whichever comes first. And Leanne noted that she was talking back and forth. I told you, conversations start happening in the chat here.
Yeah.
Stereotypes about difficult women playing a huge role in early assessments of Crippen's wife,
definitely,
who was an entertainer, as am I.
Yeah.
It's always a problem. So, okay, I think I have a whole bunch of question starts. I'm going to start going down the list here. One comes from Kristen Mesta. This is why I have so I have to actually read it. We do have a audio podcast, so I like to read these out loud for folks. Kristen says, did you suspect that Belle had been done dirty by historians, authors before you started researching, or is that something you came to?
I think it was both, because like one of the first things, I mean, the commentary just about Belle in the first in the first account I read, which was I Caught Crippen, was these horrible, like straight away I was thinking there's something going on. There's more to the story. The next thing I read, so what I do is I try to read as much as I can around this, and the next thing I read absolutely made me sit up straight, because it was the most horrific thing, which was from the British Trials series by Alexander Bell Filson Young, who was the editor of, basically they get the trial transcripts and and he writes an essay, and these are famous British trials of the time. And so he wrote this introductory essay that was the most excoriating assessment of Belle Elmore's character. And and this is in my book, it's in the final chapter of my book, where he basically, Alexander Bell Filson Young followed the whole Crippen case in 1910 and was swept away by this romantic story between Crippen and Ethel, and thought that their love was beautiful and wonderful, not actually really thinking that they conspired to kill somebody. And so he took that attitude 10 years later when he wrote the introductory essay to the trial transcripts. And he had already decided how he was going to frame this. And it was, these are star-crossed lovers, and their love was beautiful. And Crippen was this kind of weak-willed poor man, and Ethel was this kind of quivering wallflower.
Oh, of course.
And Belle, there has to be an obstacle in a star-crossed lovers story. And Belle was that obstacle. She had to be made into a monster. And he single-handedly crafted this notion of a woman who was depraved, who was sexually unfaithful, who was a shrew, who basically emasculated her husband, which is the worst thing you could do. Like, this is 1920. Women have just got the vote. Women are, making major inroads into the professions. It's a really, really scary time for gender relations. And here is a man saying, these women who are strong women who speak out are abhorrent. They're monsters.
They're the problem. They're clearly the problem. Yeah. Well, hey, I don't know if anybody was listening to Fuentes today, but
yeah,
there's still men who
making
say
a
that.
comeback, isn't it? We should all go to a breeding gulag.
Yeah, well, so I wrote the Intermediaries, which was about the Weimar period and gender. I just feel like it's not even history now. I'm just writing what's happening right now. So yeah, I think that's really interesting. So you kind of saw it, but then you saw so much more of it as you started to get going with the research, and that doesn't surprise me because I think the depth of depravity, right? It goes so deep. This question comes from Leanne. Leanne, I'm reading your question with your ideas on the fact that if Crippen and his mistress had third-class tickets, they wouldn't have been noticed. Did vanity take them to first class and recognition by the captain?
Actually, they were in second class because there was no first class on the Montrose. That's a really good question. I think, Crippen wanted to make sure that they were traveling in comfort. I think a ship is very small. I mean, I have been on cruise ships, and you see the same people over and over again. And the cruise ships that I've been on are much bigger than the Montrose was. And the whole world was looking for them. I mean, there were wanted ads in all of the newspapers, and all of the ports had wanted ads. People were actively looking for them. So I
think that the manhunt quality, I did not realize that. I did not realize just how, I mean, this was massive. And this was maybe one of the first ones ever done this way. I mean, you really kind of share that with us. This is sort of the first big sort of modern manhunt. And I just I just got so wrapped up in that.
I know.
I knew the end, but still.
Yeah.
So everybody kind of got to tell their story from this. Does the ship captain have like a memoir, like his personal story?
Does he ever? Okay. I mean, again, and what's so interesting? So, all of the men, and again, this is what made me really want to tell this story, is like, this story is basically about women. And one of the things that's so interesting about this is how many women and how many professional women factor into the story. Yeah. There's so many. And again, it's at this time when we don't necessarily think of women being in the public sphere, in the professional world, in the way that they were. And yet there were so many in this. And what frustrated me was that everybody involved in this case had to write their memoirs. And it was all the men. And so you get this choir of men. So, Captain Kendall writes his memoirs. And again, every time the men write their memoirs, even if they've never met Belle Elmore, they have to chime in and say she was a whore. So because it's like bullies beating up on the same person, and because some other bully who did it. And so Captain Kendall writes his memoirs. Obviously, Inspector Dew writes his memoirs. All of the barristers on both sides, both defense and prosecution, both write their memoirs. Yeah, so everybody's got something to say about this. And I mean, Ethel has her story ghostwritten on several occasions, which is great. I mean, that was wonderful for me. But the Music Hall Ladies Guild, one of them, Melinda May, she gave her story to somebody who was in a compendium of books about people who witnessed murders. But by contrast, there are not a lot of female voices in this. And, you want somebody to speak up for Belle.
Right. Well, and the Ladies Guild, and I want to get back to that because I think the Ladies Guild, but the music hall women, was just, to me, that was so fascinating because I'm a creative person. I'm in groups of creative people. Creative people do stand up for each other. I mean, it's always they're on the fringes anyway. And I think even now, as we're seeing attacks against LGBTQ and all this, like theater kids, they're where it's at. I mean, they do tend to stand up for each other. I just wanted to make a couple of comments for anybody who hasn't read the book yet. One of the things that happens is that Crippen and Le Neve, they escape or try to escape with her posing as his son. So that is something that does happen in the book. And Kristen Meston says, I think someone with a weird son that they were meeting behind lifeboats probably would have stood out anyway. That is probably true.
That is exactly what happened. And that is exactly why Captain Kendall noticed them.
Yeah.
Because and there's another layer to this. First of all, your hat is totally appropriate. I've just twigged, because there is a photograph of Ethel, and she's wearing a hat like that because she dressed as a boy.
Right.
And that does look quite a lot like Ethel's hat. But aside from that, so Captain Kendall was looking out a window, and behind one of the lifeboats, he saw two men, or partially two men, and he could see them holding hands. And so he felt inclined to investigate. There is a reason why he felt inclined to investigate. Ah, there you go. There's your, well done, Brandy. You nailed it. That's great.
She's not got the cool, like, octopus diamondy brooch, though.
No, but I love how in what you're wearing, there's a nod to everyone. Like half Belle and half Ethel. I love it.
And then a cigarette holder.
Yeah.
For anyone, really.
For anyone.
Anybody could do that.
For anyone. So obviously, Captain Kendall thinks he sees two men cavorting on his ship. And then, the captain is in charge of what goes on in policing morality, and homosexuality at the time was unlawful. This is shortly after the Oscar Wilde trial. Right. And so he felt compelled to investigate. And so, yeah.
So if homosexuality was freely accepted in the 1910s, then Hawley Crippen might have gone free.
Who knows? Probably not. I mean, if you've got your face on every newspaper in the Western world,
it is going to make it difficult.
Yeah.
Yes. But I do think it's so fascinating that I really cottoned on to the policing of gender. I can't help it. That's what my research is. My research takes place after your book, really, or sort of during and after in Germany. But the fact that, first of all, they were sort of dumb about we're trying to escape justice. Everyone's looking for us. There's a massive manhunt. We'll go through the effort of actually dressing up, but we won't change our behavior, actually.
I know. I know. It's really what I thought was really most telling. I mean, it really fascinated me was when I found the account of the hotel, the hotelier, and what they were saying about how they were perceiving Ethel. And they just knew something was up immediately. I mean, she just didn't pass for a boy at all. What they had guessed was that actually that he was some sort of teacher or professor, and she was one of the students who had run away with him. And we're traveling together. And because, you have to think at this time, claiming that Ethel was deaf and then whispering I mean, honestly, it's comedic. I love how comedic
it's a farce. Like, it is a farce. They might be good at many things, but dissembling their persons, they were not. Like, they were great liars in lots of other ways. But I think
it just shows that it caught them on the hoof so much that like they just didn't think stuff through. And when you're on the run, you can't necessarily think everything.
They absolutely did not think they were going to get caught. I mean, they weren't careful in the first place. I mean, they just like immediately trotting out the jewelry and the various other, in the face of the people who knew Belle, and were like, no.
I know. Well, that really struck me as. I mean, I think that was 100% Ethel. I think that was Ethel saying, look, I have waited all this time to go to one of these fancy balls with you. I have been, because she wanted Belle's life. She was insanely jealous. That
does beg the biggest question, which is, so you're the one who studied this the most. Do you think Ethel knew, helped, influenced?
100%. Okay, so my take on this, I mean, absolutely. So there's so much evidence the police didn't pursue, and that's what's so frustrating, is that it's so obvious that she knew.
Yeah.
She just happened to be showing around her engagement ring the week before her love rival disappears. the week before, Crippen's off buying the poison, and that's when she decides to take out her engagement ring and show all of her friends and say, I'm getting married. I can't tell you who I'm getting married to, but I'm getting married.
Yeah.
She knew what was going. What I think is, he said to her, look, this is I'm going to do something about this. Don't worry about it. Leave it to me. I'm going to make it look like a natural causes. Nobody will suspect a thing. I'll get my friend to sign the death certificate, and then we can get married.
Which we're pretty sure he's done before.
Which we're pretty sure he did before, because his father admitted this is what happened to his first wife. That's the insanity.
Yeah, he kind of got tired of the first wife and decided to trot her along to it. That nobody asked any questions.
Nobody asked any questions, and his father says, "Oh my son's when this whole thing happens in London, and they've got Belle's remains, and they haven't even done the toxicology on it, so they don't know she's been poisoned, and they find Myron Crippen in some lodging house in Los Angeles." And, and he's 80, and they pull him out, and they said, well, what do you think of this? And they said, well, my son's too clever to do something like that. If he wanted to kill his wife, he'd slip her some poison that was undetectable, and then he'd get his friend to sign the death certificate. And,
that happened.
Yeah. And then, lo and behold, the toxicology report comes back, and he slipped her a poison that should have been undetectable. But he got the dosage wrong. And
something else, we assume something else must have gone wrong along the way.
Yeah,
here too.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, this was basically a poisoning gone wrong.
Yeah.
So you give somebody hyacinth hydrobromide should kind of sedate you so much that your heart stops.
Right.
But however, if the dosage is wrong and you give them too much, which he did, because there were 5 grains of hyacinth hydrobromide found, which was what a hospital would have in its door cupboard. And bear in mind, he's a homeopathist, so he doesn't understand dosage.
Right.
And so what happens is you become agitated and wild. And so I think there was a struggle. Mm-hmm. And so what happened is, whether he had to finish her off, and some of the neighbors said they heard a gunshot, whether or not they heard a gunshot, who knows? But I think there was an accident or something, and you just couldn't pass the body off as natural causes.
Yeah.
Or somebody's got a broken leg or bruises or something like that.
Yeah.
And so suddenly he realizes, oh my God,
now
I have to pivot onto something else, and everything goes wrong.
Yeah, I was Sureka just put up here, and I forgot to say it for those listeners, but it says, reminds me of the V&A curator from the 1980s who stole a bunch of stuff, kept it in their house, and when the police arrived, his wife opened the door wearing one of the stolen works of art. Hi. Oh. Then Kristen said, I felt like wearing the jewelry, like the next day, Ethel wearing the jewelry was like the thing that really turned me against her. It was so hard to sympathize with her after that. And I totally get that.
The first time when I read the account, that was what made my jaw drop, because it was, I just thought, really, I mean, Ethel was shocking. There was something wrong. Bear in mind, I'm not a psychologist. I am not a criminologist. From the people who I have spoken to who are,
mm-hmm.
I think that Ethel was a psychopath.
I got that impression.
Yeah. And I think he was a sociopath, and I think she was a psychopath.
Match made in heaven. This is why
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Cross lovers indeed.
Yeah.
It's 6:30. Okay, so I realize we're half point. I have more questions, and more questions are probably coming. And we haven't even gotten to the digging under the floorboards and the identification, and then weird stuff that happened recently about whether or not it's all that stuff. We haven't even gotten there yet.
Yeah.
But it is the halfway point, and so it is time for a musical interlude.
Okay.
From Cord Ravenswood, Our Peculiar in the Field.
Oh, hey there, Peculiars. It's me, Cord Ravenswood, your peculiar in the field, going far and then farther. And it's a winter night, and it's very cold where I am, and I just thought I'd share a little song to help warm us all. It's about murder. Grotesque murder. Hawley wanted to be a homeopath for thee, from Coldwater to New York to London and further. But his life took a different route, and he began sneaking about. And who's under that basement floor? Volcana sounded the alarm. Inspector Dew held a talk, but Hawley had a sad sack charm. Inspector Dew let him walk. Then Hawley and Miss Le Neve boarded a boat to the sea. How nice, just a man with no mustache and his son. Well, the wireless at Scotland Yard buzzed, and Inspector Dew soon caught up in Canada, where the couple was met with apprehension. Well, then Hawley stood trial for his life, and when the gavel finally banged for the murder of his wife, Hawley Crippen was sentenced to hang. Hang and swing. Hang and swing. Hang and swing. Hawley wanted to be a homeopath for thee. Cold water must have run in his veins. Well, the case wasn't hard to figure out, but there will always be those who shout and prevaricate that the day is not the day, and they'll inflate the debate. Oh, to them I offer this creed: if you defend monsters and all their murder and greed, then the world will surely burn. And it will be your fault. Well, that's it, Peculiars. I hope you enjoyed that little ditty. I know it warmed me. And I just want to leave you with a lasting thought. At these times of year, when there is a opaque, burdensome veil of ice that plagues most people, it's important to remember that ice melts. Do your best to facilitate that melt. Watch out for your neighbors. And I'll see you next time, Peculiars. Toodaloo! Melt, 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 melt that ice before you get freezer burn on your dick.
Oh, thumbs up! That's brilliant. Oh, that was just magnificent. That really was.
Ravenswood, yes.
He's giving Bob Dylan and the Hurricane a run for his money there.
Oh, it's fantastic.
Although I want to hear Kate mention that she has a whole book about murder ballads. I want to know how many murder ballads there are out there. I think we got a new classic lyrics and lore.
There you go. That's really, actually, this sounds like a sidebar. It is, yeah. Melt that ice. I agree. I'll probably be arrested next time I enter the United States for saying that. That reminds me of something that I hadn't actually realized until, and some of you may laugh at me, until I saw the Bruce Springsteen film, that Springsteen actually was a murder balladeer as well. What he was writing about. So I mean, murder ballads appear in strange places. I mean, Johnny Cash, obviously, but I hadn't really thought of other people as murder balladeers, but there are a lot of them.
There's so many murders out there to sing about. I mean, our house band is Charming Disaster, and they have quite a few murder ballads as well.
They all have interesting stories to tell, so that's kind of why we get wrapped up in it, right?
Goes.
Yeah.
Oh, let's see. We've got apparently. Let's see. lots of murder ballads, whole album by Nick Cave.
Yeah.
I've got one for my book in progress. Can't wait to share. Awesome. So we've got, so basically that, I do think that ice should melt. And I love that last line where it's like, if you turn a blind eye to these things, it's your fault. It's like, there you go. Just say the quiet part loud. I love it. He does say something in there about who's buried under that floor, right? And we got to talk about that because, of course, we know that Belle Elmore meets her end. I mean, this is a story of a murder for a reason, but so do you want to talk us about the weirdness of the parts under the floor?
Yeah, well, the weirdness, I mean, which part there should be no question about
there should be no question about that.
Yeah, and in fact, it's a continuation of what we started to talk about at the beginning, which is this idea of demonizing Belle Elmore.
Right.
And this idea that, and what's really extraordinary is you can trace the demonization of Belle Elmore through the 20th century and really into the 21st century. And when it hits its nadir, is when this documentary was made, and it was decided that, the man who was behind this, had been reading all of these books for so long and decided that Crippen had to be innocent. Because Belle, what sort of man would do this? He was such a nice man, was such a nice man. My book proves there was no way Crippen was a nice man. He was a practiced fraudster.
Oh, He robbing and stealing and cheating and lying.
Absolutely horrific man, involved in stock fraud, involved in medical fraud. He would find a really comfortable place in the Trump administration, I'm sure. Just an awful, immoral man. And there has been this desire to resuscitate his character, and off of the back of what has been written about Belle Elmore. So what ends up happening is there was they decide at the University of Michigan, there was a toxicologist who decides that he was going to get in touch with somebody who ran a lab at the University of Michigan. They're going to retest the DNA on a slide of a skin sample that was used in the trial.
Right.
And bear in mind that this was exposed to all sorts of touching and breathing, and actually, and bleach was thrown into the gravesite, which degrades DNA. We know that. And so they're going to retest this, and then they retest this, and lo and behold, it is not only not Belle Elmore, but it's not even female, it's male.
Yes.
Okay, so I want everybody to know that I have addressed this by going to Professor Turi King, who is one of the top geneticists for historical DNA in this country, who was involved in the identification of the Richard III remains. And she read the white paper, and she said, no way does this hold. She said, I don't know why they chose to do the test the way they did. It's certainly unorthodox. Everything's changed. And throwing bleach on the remains, and the fact that everybody's touched it, everybody's breathed on it. This is by no means...
It's not definitive at all. No, not at all. I mean, I'm doing a book right now called, it's an audible book called How to Catch a Killer, where I was talking about DNA evidence, and it's so not what people think it is, and people have been so misled by CSI, right? It's amazing, right? You just go ba-ding, and it solves everything, and it's not like that at all.
It's not like that. It's not like that. And it's much the frustration of people who do the work that Turi does. But there is, in my appendix in my book, there is Turi's assessment of this. And, it's outrageous, because if DNA isn't like a kind of magic bullet.
I know.
And the evidence was copious evidence. But
the carpeting had to be pulled up and thrown away. All of these things, clearly some some shit went down, right?
Yeah. This is but also there was tons of evidence, and
tons.
And
the fact that they flee too, like it's not
absolutely. And in fact, that factored into this, and they found Crippen's pajamas in parts of his pajamas wrapped around the
body
some
parts,
of the remains.
Yeah.
And they were able to trace, the print of the pajama was made.
People actually had argued at one point. They're like, oh well, the body was probably there before he owned the house. No, it was still rotting. It was like
it wasn't. It was categorically not, because the pajama remains prove that, because the pajamas were made.
So it's just fascinating how who was saying it? Sorry, Kristen. The tie-ins of gender and country of origin, appearance, etc. It's just evaluations of people's character, like the way people were looking at, and this concept of monstrosity. I'll actually get to a question that Sureka wrote down. Let me find it here, about who we call monsters and why. And so she said, people often call murderers, especially serial murderers, monsters. But they also call Belle a monster, right? Yeah. The people who try to defame Belle. Says, I wonder what you think about that urge to separate ourselves from this category of murderers, or category, like this idea of using monster for things.
I think we should. I think it's the worst thing we can do, because that side is just another facet of what it means to be human. Right. And as soon as we recognize that is in, I don't want to say it's in all of us, but let's say it's in the human condition, then we have to take a hard look at ourselves. Mm-hmm. I think and actually I would refer to actually one of the most compelling true crime dramas I've seen is Monsters by Ryan Murphy, where it was such an uncomfortable watch. And because it was such an uncomfortable watch, it was, he told the story in the round of the Menendez brothers, and their parents, who all of them did terrible, unspeakable things. But you realize you're watching them and you're seeing that they're sympathetic, they're human, they have they're not monsters. And that's so uncomfortable, because you're constantly realizing you're constantly poised on the edge of that.
Yeah.
And we have to do that.
Sureka wrote a book. We had her on last year, I think. Yes, called "Humans: A Monstrous History." That I keep telling people is "Monsters: A Human History," but it works that way too. It does.
Yeah, I like that actually.
But yeah, so that's, and Sureka talks quite a bit about that, which I think is very cool. A question we wanted to get back to, because you notice Cord also in his song talks about the fact that they're caught in Canada. Why was that so important? It was important. It says, why is it good that the SS Montrose was in Canadian waters with British affiliation and not in American waters?
Well, I think it was just made it easier to extradite them, because they could be extradited under British law, and that way, it just expedited everything, and so that made it easier for Scotland Yard to work with the police in Quebec. Because they were technically under a similar jurisdiction. Right.
So one of the things, what is that? Is that Ryan saying that murder is a legal construct? Lately, rape is a legal construct too, because they're letting all kinds of people, Epstein files. But it is really interesting who agrees with what. Like, there's different rules and there's different laws. There's different jurisdictions. There's different. I wonder too. I can't remember it now. It's been a little while since I've read it, but would Dew's jurisdiction have reached to America? Would he have had any trouble, for instance, in some of the things he did?
Well, he would have been, interestingly, during this. I mean, I went to I had to look at some of the police archives in New York, and there was some correspondence, actually not in, well, very indirectly, but more so in Britain. There was more correspondence that they were working directly with the police in Brooklyn and in New York.
Okay.
And so, they created a kind of dragnet, and they were also working with the Pinkertons as well.
Yeah, the Pinkerton Agency. I love when that pops up.
They honestly sounded like they were having a lot of fun creating that dragnet. There was
oh, totally. That
Dew was living his best life,
Oh, absolutely. I mean, he thought he was a superhero, I think.
Yeah.
Right.
But in the meantime, you've got the women creating their own dragnet. That is what I thought was pretty amazing.
I love the music hall ladies. Talking about feeling sympathetic, I felt so much sympathy for the music hall ladies, and I kept thinking of Charming Disaster. I kept thinking of Elia. I was like, she'd be there for us. I know
if Brandy gets murdered, Elia's gonna
get murdered. Elia's
gonna
she's gonna jump in.
There are a couple. If you could take inspiration from the story and write a couple of good murder TV shows out of this, like a group of women that are all in this guild together and they're solving the murder together.
100% musical ladies guild solve murders. I mean it's got to happen.
I write mysteries. I mean, we could talk. We could talk about this. We could make this happen. We can make this a thing. So we have a couple other questions that have come in, but I'm going to save them for after the quiz.
Okay.
So Davey is now going to take this away. Now don't worry. The peculiars are here to help. It's kind of like
I will fail. I want you to know that I will fail this quiz.
Well, the quiz is never what you think it is. And there were a lot of topics that I thought about from your book. It's always pulled from your book.
Okay,
there were things I thought about.
Oh no! It's a how well do you remember the book that you wrote 2 years ago?
Not that.
It's much weirder than that.
I was thinking like French resort towns and stuff like that, and it's that theme. There's a small thread from your book. So, but I went with something else. There's so much in the beginning of the book about patent medicine, and you really kind of lay the groundwork of what all this sham patent medicine is, and the advertisements that were all over the place. So I went back and I found some old advertisements for some old patent medicines. And I have a few questions for you. The quiz this week is called Bottoms Up. And make sure you take your medicine. So 3 questions, multiple choice. The first one was a little Photoshop. Actually, 2 of them are a little bit of Photoshop fun from me. So this is the first one. The first advertisement for the people on the podcast feed. Every woman needs Carter's iron pills to strengthen her and improve her what? What did I blot out there on the poster? What's shown below? Is it to strengthen her and improve her vitality, to strengthen her and improve her complexion, or to strengthen her and improve her glow? What do you think?
I think it's for vitality. I think it's A.
You think it's A? Okay, we've got Randy Trent is going with A. Elizabeth's going with all A's. Good.
And just for the podcast listeners, it's a young man and a young, or is a boy and girl, and they're kind of crossing a pond,
a stream or something. Picture, there's a willow tree in the back. It's very bucolic.
All right. What was your final answer, Hallie?
I think it's A.
You think it's A? I only had one. Sadie differed by saying C.
Okay.
The answer is B, actually.
Oh my God!
You would take Carter's iron pills for her complexion.
Wow, I would not have thought that. So we had A's and C's and no B at all.
No. I'm on a hot streak for 2026 when it comes from my bullshit answers because I've stumped a few authors.
This is this reminds me of the game Boulder Dash. Have you ever played Boulder Dash?
Kind of.
Yeah.
It's Davy Dash.
This isn't a Photoshop job on the next one. Just a question about it. So this is Mrs. Winslow's soothing syrup for children's teething. It's a picture of a woman holding her child, holding her baby. What is the special ingredient in Mrs. Winslow's soothing syrup? Is it A, morphine, B, cocaine, or C, heroin?
I'm assuming, yes, for children teething, I'm going to say B, cocaine, because I know that was used in dental procedures for numbing.
So we've got, over here, we've got a couple people for morphine. We've got somebody for, what's B again? Cocaine. Couple cocaines, couple morphines.
All right.
Nobody's going for heroin.
And this was a very dangerous thing to take, like lawsuits and bad things happen. It was a morphine.
It was morphine.
Oh, was it? Okay.
It was morphine. Yep.
I love how this child is weirdly hovering in the air. I do not believe for a minute she is holding on to him. He is just high. That's all that is.
These adverts are great. If you can see in the corner, it says in the Hagley Museum and Library. So that's where I mean, give them credit. That's where I got the photos from. But there are museums dedicated to these old adverts for patent medicine. All right, your final one.
Okay.
This is another Photoshop job. This is Horsford's acid phosphate for mental and physical exhaustion, dyspepsia, and C and conditions. I'm guessing C is, and it's like a man baby.
It's weird looking.
So the question
this child grows up to be Richard Nixon.
The question is, what was the slogan for Horsford's acid phosphate? Was it A, you'll feel like a kid again, B, now with extra bubbles, or C, it makes a delicious drink? And I should say at the bottom it says with water and sugar only.
I think it might be C. I think it's weird enough.
Leanne thinks it might be constipation. That would be really funny. The dyspepsia and constipation.
Exhaustion, dyspepsia.
Oh, that's what the C could be? Yeah.
It could be.
They ran out of room. They're just like, we'll just put C.
I didn't have my monocle up, and I thought it said now with extra nipples when I first read it. It would have been a far different kind of drug. Okay, so lots of people are saying
all right.
A. Lots of A's.
Sadie like a man baby again.
Man baby again.
All right, the answer is yes, C. It makes a delicious
drink.
I mean, think about it. It's basically Kool-Aid.
Lies.
They basically sold Kool-Aid. That's what you're buying here. Yeah.
Oh, gross.
So there you go. You're 1 for 3. Not bad.
Not bad.
But these are the kind of ads that Dr. Hawley Crippen's.
This is his market.
Yeah. There you go.
Wow. Well done.
Thank you.
That was wonderful. The one problem, my face keeps turning red because of how distant I am from my light. It is not because I am taking Horsford's drops or whoever the hell that was.
You need something for your vitality, Brandy.
I need something for my vitality. Yeah. I like Kristen says, I want all my meds to say for mental and physical. Like just give me all the things.
All the ailments.
That's why I drink whiskey. Oh my gosh, that was great. So I do have another question. This question comes from Kristen Meston again, but also I have a question to append to it. So this is a great one to end on. She says, do you have a recommendation for a book on the British suffrage movement? Because it was one of the tangents in the book that she really wanted to follow.
Yeah. Okay. There's a very big book, and now I've forgotten the name of it, but the author is Diane Atkinson.
Diane Atkinson.
And it is like a fantastic compendium, and the title has escaped me, but Diane Atkinson is the author.
All right. Fabulous. My follow-up question
Rise
to
Up
that.
Women?
Sorry, Rise Up Women. That's it. Yeah. Thank you.
What's it called? Wise Up Women?
Rise Up Women.
Rise Up Women. I was like, Wise Up Women? What? Okay. My appended question is, what's a good book to read more about the music hall ladies? Because I do think I need to write a mystery novel about these people.
Nothing has been written about them.
No! What? Curses.
Yeah. I mean, it's amazing. I couldn't believe it myself when I started doing the research. There is nothing written about them except for Story of a Murder.
Are they still around? Like, how long did the organization?
No, it was eventually absorbed into another. I think in the 1920s, it was absorbed into another association, and I can't. There's your next book, Brandy.
There's my next book.
There's your next. I mean, heck, this could be the next Downton Abbey. Come on.
I know. Well, the book has been optioned, so who knows? Wait and see.
Very nice. I love it. So who's a bit? I mean, I know having books optioned doesn't always mean anything. It takes forever and ever and ever. But that's excellent news. I would love to see this one. I think there's a lot here that would lend itself to television. It's a very cinematic world that you have, and then the chase and the whole thing. Like that's at least 3 episodes as I'm chasing.
Yeah. Absolutely. It's. I mean, when I was writing this, I was thinking how epic it was.
Yeah, it is an epic book. It is. Yeah. I will say, my editor and I, for the review, went round and round with this one because they both wanted me to keep it within 1,000 words and to tell them everything. And we were really struggling to make that happen.
There are just so many little kind of nooks and crannies in this book, which actually end up being important. Thank you.
That's from Judy.
Which end up being really, who should play? Oh, that's such a good question.
Who should play Dr. Crippen?
My mind is constantly changing.
I just Googled nerdy American actors, and Michael Cera came up.
Oh my God! No, except he's too young. He's too young.
Yeah.
I don't know that one.
I don't know.
Nerdy actors.
It's really hard to figure out. I mean,
it'd have to be somebody who like can play a dope, but also has. I mean, he did have charisma. I know he doesn't look like it, but he clearly had charm.
Yeah, he had charm. there was something about him that people liked, women especially.
Basically, everyone who's ever been in a Judd Apatow movie has come out in this Google search. That's the nerdy American actor, is the entire cast of a Judd Apatow movie.
William H. Macy. Oh, that's a good shout. That's a really good
I don't
shout.
think I know William H. Macy.
Yeah, he's
Shameless.
Okay. I'm
yeah.
not good with names. I'm good with tell me the
dad
thing.
from Shameless.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think. Do you know who I think should play Ethel?
Who?
Absolutely, Millie Bobby Brown. Do you know who I'm talking about?
Yeah, from Stranger Things, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I can see that. I can see
Yeah.
that.
All
Who
right,
should play Belle?
Yeah,
I think Florence Pugh would be a good Belle.
Okay, I'm not thinking. That's not connecting in my brain.
She was in the Avengers. Come on, Peculiar.
Yeah, she's the new Black Widow in Avengers.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm horrible about shows. You guys know that I'm sort of an unwatcher, so I get most of my movie and TV by the filtration system of Mark telling me about them. But then occasionally I do Google and find out what people look like, so that's good. So that I have an image in my head.
No, I think I'm obsessed with the fact that Millie Bobby Brown is like the spitting image of Ethel, and she's got just kind of Ethelness all about her.
The one photo that Cord showed on on his thing is like all of that right there is all about that.
It's really, really I would be so happy if she was cast as Ethel.
There are some good ones out there. Well, this has been so much fun and so amazing, and I want to thank you so much for coming on, and for all of you who have joined us an hour early for the show too. An hour early is kind of nice. Like, I'm gonna have dinner now and have like a whole evening. It's gonna be great.
For those of you logging in right now, sorry you missed it, but you can rewind it to the beginning and replay it.
Yeah, you can come back. But this was a wonderful conversation. Actually, Sureka said the same, who's also awake late. Thank you for joining us, even though it is late. We do appreciate your time, and it was so much fun and such a readable book.
So much fun. And Sureka, I know, is an hour even. She's in Paris, so it's just after midnight for me. It's just after 1 a.m. for her. So it's probably time for bed.
Yes, but thank you so much. This has been amazing. We're we'll run the credits, and you get to see everybody's comments at the end, because usually everyone says nice things as we go through the ending. So we'll do that here in a minute. But I just want to thank everyone for being here at a place where, if you're weird, you're family.
You got the blue bottle blues when you wake up in the night. Don't make a big mistake, 'cause you can never make it right. When you reach out for the vial, feel the ridges in the glass. It's a matter of survival, baby, better watch your back. There is no antidote. There is no antidote. There is no antidote. There is no antidote. There is no antidote.